Hey guys, so some other questions that we've got from some of you is how to teach an Aishin's yoga class, and then how to give some feedback, some simple feedback. The simplest way to teach an Aishin's yoga class, you all know how to do the beginner sequence. But before you do the beginner sequence, how do you start the class? So what I always do and what Jesse always does is we always say, okay, everybody grab a belt, 2 blocks, and a mat. And that's what we have here. And then you have them lay their mats out on the floor, space them pretty well depending on your space available and the amount of people in your class. And make sure that they have all of these essentials. Once that's done, then we usually just have them stand up and just relax and focus on their breathing. Start to begin to become connected to their weight on their feet and just breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. We usually do that for about a minute, and it's very relaxed. And that's one of the things that we want to stress to you guys is don't feel like, okay, everybody in the classroom, okay, standing mountain, you know, make it relaxed, make it an enjoyable experience. When they're doing the pose, they'll get their work in, but go through it in a pace that's it's not so regimented. And that's one of the big things that I've learned as I've taught is, you know, as you're doing the sequence with them, you're starting to feel that, yeah, I need a little break right now. So take it. Take a break. Okay, guys, close your eyes. Just let's breathe for a couple seconds. I stand there. Jessie would do she'll do repeats of that. I sometimes, when I'm teaching, I just have everybody close their eyes, focus on your breathing, relax. Okay, now we're going to step back into this pose or something like that. So once you get the class spread out, everybody has their equipment, you get them started relaxing into it, and then you start the beginner sequence. Now, 2 to 3 breaths is generally what's on the DVD. Take it up to 6 to 8 breaths and give them cues all the time while you're doing it, and step out of the poses. Once you've done a couple of poses, you don't have to go through the whole thing and then stop. Step out whenever you want to in a balanced manner. So once you do maybe one side, then step out of it, and then do the other side, then step out of it, focus on your breathing again. Pace it so that the sequence takes you about 30 minutes. Once you're done with that, then you don't generally go into rest pose right then. Your last pose of the sequence, which is a back dome, then generally they might lay down and do rest pose, but we're going to continue. So after they do back dome, then you might have them stand up and continue on to some partner feedback, which you might do for about the next 20 to 25 minutes. After that, then you do the rest pose for about 5 to 6 minutes. The rest pose, as you see in the DVDs, can be feet up on the wall, can be butterfly position, or can just be laid out, legs and arms extended. So all 3 of those are fine, and you're coaching them on the breath in through the nose and out through the mouth in various counts. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of how we run a yoga class. The next part, as far as the sequence goes, the next is the partner feedback. One that we really like that's really simple is back dome sequence to enhance the range of motion. You do a back dome pose, you look at it from the side. I like to even take pictures of it. And then with partner feedback, we have them do supine bridge, and then we do back dome again, and then you do a Sphinx pose, and then they do back dome again. You will see incredible change in this movement, and literally it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to do it, and then you're going to have them switch partners. So they might want to do this two times through even, and they're going to get really incredible change. Now, when they're doing the supine bridge for feedback, I like to go pound to pound. Make sure that you give them the proper tools on the legs to do the feedback correctly. If they're knock-kneed, you definitely want to use a belt. If they're bow-legged, then you're going to use two blocks on, one between the feet and one between their knees. It's dependent on each person, but even saying that aloud to everybody and just giving them a quick, okay, 2 blocks, 1 block, the belt around your thighs, that's good coaching right there for them. And then when they get into the pose, you know, make sure that you clearly demonstrate how to give the feedback. And then, like a bead of flowers, you walk the room and you give a little bit of coaching to everybody in the class. Put a little more pressure on the hands here. Watch those shoulders, because they might creep up towards the ears when they're doing supine bridge. Watch that they're not lifting from the rib cage on supine bridge. Some folks, maybe you do put the hand pressure. Some folks might need more on the hips. It's dependent on each individual, and you guys can see that when you first look at their back dome. Are they tight in the hips or are they tight in the shoulders? If they're more tight in the shoulders, the resistance on the palms is perfect. Most people are tight in the shoulders, so that works for everybody pretty much. But it doesn't hurt if they're going to do 2 rounds of this little sequence. Maybe the second time around they do hip pressure as a feedback. Then they do the back dome and then the Sphinx pose and the back dome again. So that's for the supine bridge. On the Sphinx pose, make sure that you reinforce the palms are flat, the hands are spread, and then don't walk the elbows in, but just push them in. Now another thing, it's sort of important here, it's similar to supine bridge. As your hands are flat and you're working your elbows in, it's not just that, but it's pulling. It's pulling back with the back of your arms towards your hips. Doing that helps to open the shoulders and extend through the crown of your head. Giving you feedback on the insides of the elbows with your hands like this, and then putting your chin on the top of their head is how you do that properly.
You can even cup the back of the arms for the pullback.
And that's an awesome cue if you just heard what Jesse just said. You know, you can be here on the insides of their elbows. You can also take your hands to the back of their arms, their tricep area, and pull just like we put them on the backs of the calves when we're resisting supine bridge. It's very, very similar. Okay, so all of those with the feedback of the chin on the crown of the head, all of those are beneficial on Sphinx pose. Why does this improve back dome? Because it all works to set the shoulders in a position that allows the arms then to move overhead with greater ease. Once the shoulders are set, they're not winged out so much. That's what allows it. When they're winged out, the arms literally get blocked from going overhead, and that's why it's so difficult for many people to do back dome. So you can explain that to them as well. Now, the length of time that you're going to hold it, a lot of people when they do this, when we see them starting out teaching this, I go, okay, so when you get them into supine bridge and give them feedback, you're going to hold it for a 10 count. No, you hold it until they're having a hard time maintaining engagement in the pose. That might be 30 seconds. You have to give them feedback accordingly to challenge them that way. If you're giving them almost no feedback, for example, when you guys do supine bridge on your own, you could literally sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, correct? Right? Right. So your job is to get them you can see that they're hitting a wall at around 20 seconds, and then you give them a 10 count down to 1. But you also don't want to do it overboard where they're really feeling like they're collapsing and you're still counting. Do you understand? So sometimes I might count 10, 9, like that. Sometimes I might go 10, 9, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you're done. Got it? That way, you're challenging them accordingly. They don't compromise their form. That's when you set the shoulders the best, and that's where you get the biggest change in back dome. And back dome, I think, is one of the most positive poses for us. Why? Because it opens the hips, opens the shoulders, the 2 areas that people have massive misalignments in. Okay? So that is why we do this. It's back dome to supine bridge to back dome to Sphinx to back dome. That's 1 round through, your partner goes, then if you want them to go again, they do the same thing. Maybe you modify the feedback, instead of being on the hands, it's on the hips for supine bridge. Maybe you modify, instead of being on the insides of the elbows, you're cupping the triceps on the Sphinx pose. Okay? That's 2 ways to do 2 good rounds of that back dome. You should see gigantic change in it. All right? Hope these tips help you guys. And again, give us your feedback. We want to make all the MBG trainers the most wicked trainers on the planet. All right? Peace.